Same old trouble, villains always knocking at the door. Pretty pictures on the page, but nothing ever stays the same.
Thank you, Vandello, and welcome once again to Graphically Novel. My name is Josh Wasta. Hey, Fallout Fury, and with me...
I'm really waiting for this one.
He used to be my Doc Holliday. He became my Bobo Del Rey.
Oh, okay, well, I can deal with that.
He is my Earp childhood.
Oh!
Yes, Bear.
I feel like that was kind of an insult. That was a shot.
Yeah.
Oh, and... with us, as usual, the lovely and talented, the woman who will never dress like the stuff in this comic. It is the Baronessa, Ms. Jennifer Howlett.
Not even behind closed doors.
No. Well, no one can dress like that unless it's painted onto them.
Yeah, I mean...
There's no way clothing would fit.
You're in this, like, I'm a cross between Cher and Kim Kardashian, you know, with a budget.
Oh, that's funny. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce a returning guest, and thank you again for putting up with our shenanigans.
There's nothing to put up with. I love every second of it.
Thank you. Justin Stacy, many thanks for returning.
Thank you for having me.
Our guest. Absolutely.
So, Justin, you were actually a fan of this comic, which, of course, is Wynonna Earp, is what we are doing today.
Yeah, you know, I've read a little bit of the older stuff because we'll be talking about this as the episode goes on. But what we're discussing today is actually a comic based on the series, based on the comic from years prior, and the older stuff is a little bit different. But I ended up liking this too, so I think that's kind of interesting. I don't usually discuss graphic novel to series to comic like this, so I think it'll be kind of interesting.
Interesting. I don't know if maybe you read a different one than we read.
I hope not. I read what was supposed to be Homecoming, and
I hope you did.
You know, it's going to be an interesting meeting if I read a completely different.
Does Bobo look familiar?
No. Okay. So
we read different stuff.
This is going to be an interesting meeting because I have what I read is called Homecoming in the trade paperback, but it's 6 issues, and the art. You'll see what I mean, I guess, if I can find a way to display it, because what I read, all the artwork makes the characters look like the characters in the show.
Oh yeah, no, we will be talking about this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you're talking about the older stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Awesome.
This is going to be an interesting.
Yeah, we're talking about Barbarella meets the Matrix.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Now I understand better what Josh meant by ripping on the comic.
Well, my first thought, the first time I saw her on page, I was like, wait, is this Marvel X-Men comic? Because if you took the head off and removed any like identifying features and it was just the base outfit, that's all Marvel X-Men female.
I mean, it is a lot of especially 90s Goblin Queen.
Giant boobs.
Emma
barely
Frost.
bare clothing.
Every woman in the comic is hypersexualized, got at least double D's.
God, no, that's not double D's.
That's probably like triples, quadruples, but whatever.
We're going towards the middle of the alphabet.
we're like 30, 38, 20,
no, like 30,
32. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So this is a picture of Wynonna Earp Homecoming.
Oh, good. Why couldn't we read that?
So what I grabbed was called Strange Inheritance.
Oh, okay. All right.
And it was the 2003 like original. And I
see
was
the picture on the cover, and the artwork on the cover is nothing like the 4 other types of artwork that exist within the graphic novel.
Yeah. The cover looks more like what you read, the Homecoming. It looks in fact, it looks almost identical.
Right.
To the art
right.
of what you read.
Right. For example, I have never seen a woman wrapped in mummy gauze that is actually able to just stand up and only her nipples are covered.
Well, she was also, if you notice, if you've ever watched any mummy movie, they don't individually wrap breasts so that they are still stand out and lifted and separated.
They smush them them down.
Yeah, they're
Right.
supposed to be wrapped together.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's start with the show and then swing around back to the comic. Justin, did you watch the show when it first kind of came on?
Yeah, not like immediately, but by the time it was still in its first season when I started watching it. So it's been a hot minute, but yeah, it's one of those because you and I are both Supernatural fans, like
Yes.
And so I was watching the first episode, and I'm like, I had a hard time not comparing it to that, even though they are quite different, just because there's similar themes and elements there. And I was like, yeah, this is cheesy, but I don't want to just quit after one episode, so I'll give it a couple more. And it kind of really drew me in, partially because it's one of those few series where I just really ended up liking pretty much the entire main cast of the series. Was really, it drew me in mostly because of that, I would say.
Well, I would say we made the comparison to another series that wasn't Supernatural that was also pretty bubblegummy, Midnight Texas.
Oh yeah, I've seen the first season of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
there are only two.
Yeah. So. Fortunately, unfortunately, because that was like that show, it was one of those where like the tension got ratcheted up and you just laughed at it because it was so ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. Well, because it was also written by the same person that did True Blood.
Yes.
But it was a network.
It wasn't True Blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually set in the same universe.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was.
There is
True
a book
Blood.
in which what's his name from Midnight Texas, the psychic, meets Sookie.
Oh, okay. That explains a lot.
Okay. Use my.
That's the one line from. I've seen the whole series, and that's the one line that comes back to me over and over and over again. Is that? Yeah.
I gave up on True Blood around Faye Witch Orgy.
Yes, that's about the same point I gave up.
I think that's season 3 or something.
I mean, if she'd have just been like a psychic or something, I'd have been fine. And then it turned into a weird Fae witch orgy, and I was just like, no, you don't let the Fae into your home. I'm done with this season. Series.
No, I liked. I mean, it was entertaining, and I used to have regular watch parties for True Blood, and it was, and I'm forgetting her name. It was the vampire that ran the bar.
Pam, I think it was Pam.
Pam.
Yeah.
Pam had the best lines.
Yeah,
she
did.
had the best
She did.
lines. It was just so awesome to see her. But yeah, I mean, I totally. That's the kind of tune out. I don't need to be paying too much attention to follow this. Kind of plot that.
Yep.
So Barry, you finished it before we did. We finished it last night, but what did you think going into it, and how did you feel going out of it?
I watched the first season, and much the same way that Sabrina did, like, it had its moments. It had moments that were like pulled me out of my phone and the rest of the stuff that I was doing and watching and going, hey, this is pretty good stuff. And then suddenly, like, she pulls out Wyatt Earp's pistol and fires 2 shots, and that where she couldn't hit the broadside of a barn before, that just apparently just both of them went straight through his head. And I'm just like, well, like, most of the non-action scenes were all right, it was good stuff. And then you get into a lot of the action scenes and it was just junk.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta kind of. I almost felt like they learned from that, because towards the end of the season, I noticed that a lot of things that were going to be gunfights were cut to black, show the aftermath.
Yes, it actually made things better.
Well, but they also took their time explaining why she was able to shoot like that.
Sure.
And there was a supernatural reason why.
And I understand that.
But they didn't, I mean, it was just like, why, like I think that they were really relying too much on their audience being so engaged that they would make that connection.
Yeah, they were leaning on suspension of disbelief, like, hard.
Yeah.
But take, for example, I think it was around episode 4 or 5, where they keep kind of alluding to this big bad that's in the shadows, and if this thing gets out, and this is all the revenants that are like, oh, this big bad, and you kind of see these little flashes, and it like pops out and nabs people, and everybody's scared, and they're like, oh, this is going to be a big bad guy, like the first big bad guy of the season. And then it races off finally to go catch him, and like the world goes dark around them, and they just kind of put on like a dark blue filter over everything, which is awful. And then like it shows up, and the fight scene is it's going after one Earp sister. Oh, it's not you. And the thing literally looked like a practice dummy from the Room of Requirements. wheeling its way towards one Earp sister and then going, no, it's not you, and then wheeling its way to the other one, and Winona whips out her pistol, shoots it 3 times in the back, and the scene's over. I'm like, what was everybody afraid of?
Yeah. So this kind of brings me.
Give me a rock of divinium, and I'll chuck it at its head, and it'll be gone. Sorry, that's a different episode.
Yes. So this goes kind of into a larger discussion that I'm looking forward to for this show, and especially with my media guy. We're actually going to bring you full circle back.
Coming back,
the media
come back
guy.
around.
Yeah. Some people would consider the label of trash TV to be like reality shows, and I completely agree with that. But I don't watch. Yeah.
Reality shows come below trash TV for me.
Yeah.
Right, because I won't watch them.
Right. And I generally won't watch reality shows
unless it's a cooking reality show, in which case I will binge it start to finish for days at a time.
Or Home Improvement. That's me.
Yeah. Right. Or something stupid like the Go Big Show, which is like stupid.
Yeah, no,
it's the big stupid trick.
Yeah, we're both thumbs down.
Cody Rhodes and Snoop Dogg are judges. Okay. Anyway, Jen and I have a thing where we're like, so we watch a lot of stuff for the show. And I mean, if you look at a lot of the stuff that we've watched, comic book in general media has kind of a really long, like any media does, has a really long, between trash TV and serious dramas that like you really can only do 1 or 2 episodes of. So like Jessica Jones, not a show you can binge, but one that, again, we watched the show we enjoyed.
Many people could binge.
Yes.
I could not.
Right.
Yeah.
But some of the more
like the high end stuff, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, WandaVision,
Lucifer. Legion. Legion is what I was thinking.
High end stuff like that versus the low end stuff like Midnight Texas.
Right. And I have an actual list of trash TV series that I have watched. Most of these I have watched with Jen. Midnight Texas. I'm going to get in trouble with the Supernatural community, but Supernatural is totally a trash.
Yeah. Let's be fair.
We love it.
Yeah.
But we know it's trash.
Yeah. Right. Right. Lucifer, Constantine, Lost Girl, which I couldn't even go that far.
Really? I fully admit that's trash TV, but I love that from start to finish. I'm
with him on this one because I watched like when it was still on.
Yeah.
Before I got distracted by other stuff. Same. I got like 3/4 of the way through that episode and never missed an episode when it came out.
Yeah, same.
I don't know why. Like it was. I thought it was good at the time.
Oh yeah. No. And I mean, back in the late '90s, there was also things like Lex, which was oh my god, pretty much like the TV version of this comic book. Lex was like stripper in space.
Yeah,
it was basically strippers in space.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a sentient space. It was Thirst TV. Yeah. It was
I was an adult. I didn't watch that.
Less brain power, more sexy version of Farscape.
Yeah.
I didn't watch Farscape either.
Farscape was pretty good. It wasn't like, I don't know if I'd call it like Star Trek good, but it was pretty damn good.
And then the one that Jen and I actually started watching and just couldn't was Hemlock Grove.
Okay. Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I get where you're coming from with that one. After I watched, I think there's like 3 seasons or something.
Yeah, we watched the entirety of the first season. And like that was when it had first come out. When the second season came out, both of us were like doing that. So the second season's out, like waiting on the other one to be like, no.
Wait, was Hemlock Grove the one where they, as usual, killed off Clancy Brown in the first episode?
I don't remember. It was the one with Famke Janssen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got who's the Scottish guy?
He was the sheriff, and he got killed in a barn.
I think you're right. Now that I think way back.
Oh, I'm confusing that with Sleepy Hollow, where Clancy gets killed in the first episode.
You're right. That was Clancy was.
That's one I actually didn't finish. Sleepy Hollow. I think.
No, I got like 5 episodes into Sleepy Hollow. I was like, this is not worth my time.
Well, I'm a big fan of Clancy Brown.
Yeah, same.
And he is like Sean Bean. If you see him in the credit, you're like anticipating his death. Because I don't know why they can't keep him around. He's a good actor. That voice, though. And why do they keep killing his characters?
What was that recent Netflix movie with Jason Statham that Clancy Brown was in? There's all of like the meth dealers, and Clancy Brown didn't actually die.
Is that Homecoming or
Homefront?
Yeah.
Clancy Brown doesn't die.
I know.
But he's not really a good guy either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I fell in love with him in Buckaroo Banzai.
Oh no, I fell in love with him, and
He's the fucking Kurgan.
Yeah.
it wasn't even that. It was Starship Troopers, right, Weez?
Yeah.
I mean, Starship Troopers cemented it for me, but he's the fucking Kurgan.
Yeah, and
And we
Buckaroo
cannot push a button
Banzai,
if you disable his hand.
Buckaroo Banzai, way before
Yeah,
that.
also true. Yes, we get it. The old.
Or
Since
just be up on your pop culture.
I know about Grubon.
with
I just didn't see it first.
with Clancy Brown, just before we shift, I've got to mention, because Josh, last time I was a guest, we talked a little bit about your love for proper what's the word I'm looking for? Christian dogma in your media.
Yeah.
He's in a movie where I don't remember if he dies, but it's a great movie where he and a couple other people play priests whose jobs it is to just live completely off the rails in sin, so that if there's ever a demonic possession in their vicinity, the demon will latch on to them and they can ride the spirits to hell instead of them sending innocent people to hell.
Oh
we
my
need
God.
to see
We need to
this.
find this.
The film is Hell something. It's one word. I don't remember, but if you look up his filmography, you'll get it. I think all of you guys would probably like that.
Thank you,
Oh
Justin.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's
I'm not
going
to say there's proper dogma in it, but I think you guys
Oh God,
like
no.
it.
But
So-
I like the idea.
I'm also a fan of improper dogma.
Yeah, sure.
But as a way to show kind of solidarity with this style of comic, because the comic book is very 90s. Even though it came out in 2003.
I think it was
We're talking
mid-
about.
Yeah, the 2003 version of Wynonna Earp. It's very bloody. It's very booby.
Well, and let me just tell you what Josh said to me when I was reading it. I was just like, holy shit, 90s. And Josh said, well, it was actually 2003, but the 90s came late to Canada.
Yeah. The 90s didn't get to Canada until 2003. I stole it from How I Met Your Mother. I have no issues with that. But I went through my bookshelves on either side of my desk here, and I pulled every comic I own that is sort of this style, this 90s big boob style. So these are the ones that I own in order from, because I'm going to go straight out and say I'm not going to recommend this to anybody. I might recommend the redo Homecoming.
You guys should check out the redo if you have time. I think you might enjoy it more.
Okay. Because
it's 2016.
you can be big boobs, big pecs, this type of thing, but also have a good story to lift it up.
This was big boobs, big pecs, and like cheesy ass lines straight out of the Fast and Furious series,
Right.
And worse.
Don't.
Places.
I gotta ask. Do you guys ever wonder how stuff like this gets greenlit for other media? Like, when you take into account all this stuff, like, do you ever think to yourself, how did they decide, let's make this project into something else?
My only reasoning is that, like, they obviously didn't look back at this particular graphic novel, the one that we read. They were obviously looking at yours.
No, the one that he read.
The one that I read actually is actually
the
based on the show, and I think you'll enjoy the artwork.
But if you keep going further through the graphic novel that we were reading, because I actually got about halfway through that thing, and it was painful to do it, but I did it. And then I just kind of skimmed my way through the rest. They put more clothes on her as it goes, and by the time you get to the end, she is dressed more similarly to what you would expect to have seen from the series.
Well, and I have an explanation for that. So the first...
Well, yeah, when you get done with the first one, she has a, in-character fight with the writer.
Well, the first 5 issues, it was under Image Comics, which explains, like, in the background, there's a bunch of, like, Spawn posters and things that you can catch. And this is, like, the heyday of Image Comics, like Spawn and a bunch of... Basically, it was just like, you have an idea, Image will print it.
There was a lot of product placement in the first 5 issues, too. Like McDonald's, there was, I think, a gas station.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
There's BP, I think.
Yeah.
Past the first 5, before you start Home on the Strange, because, like, the last shot is her in, like, leather bra, panties pulled up, her thong pulled up through her leather pants.
That are half off.
No. Those are just connected. Those are short
Those are
leggings.
cute.
Those are her leggings of distraction plus 5.
Yes.
And she has her leather bikini halter top of fortification, heavy fortification, and her Kardashian hairdo of deflection.
So the next comic, when you start on Home on the Strange, it moved to IDW. IDW, most famous for things like Transformers and
Obviously.
taking over a lot of those. So they had different standards in order to take over the IP.
And then-
Like they bought the IP and they
Was
moved
it at the
over.
end of Home on the Strange where there was like the 4-page fight that she
No,
in character had with her writer?
did not get that far.
I think it was at the end of that. She has an in-character fight with the writer about how he's like, well, I gotta take a break. You what, pussy? You know, like, well, we'll just call it a hiatus. Yeah, no, that just sounds like you're quitting. And he's like, well, no, wait, please come back. Well, I swear we'll draw more clothes on you. And then we go straight into the next series. And I don't think, like, into the next group, yes, she had more clothes on, but yes, they're also in, like, Canada.
Right.
And it's snowing. And then they went back to somewhere else, and they had more clothes on her there. And then they went to another spot, like, I think it was, like, in Russia, and it's snowing again. So she's got to be in, like, that doesn't count for putting more clothes on her if you just stick her into the Arctic.
Right.
So I teased it before, but the trash TV going to trash comic books, and not even trash comic books, but just what I would call like risque comics, or not quite pinup level, but like that I'm going to show you everything but the nipple. So there, I also did these in order from least amount of plot to what I would consider the best plot. So keep in mind, these came off of my shelf. So you start with Crimson. Crimson was a Boom comic that's about a vampire stripper. I owned it. I saw it in the store for like 50% off, and I was like, oh, I remember that comic. I'll support that because reasons. I have nostalgia for it.
I would also like to point out that these next 5 minutes are where we get to judge Josh very harshly.
Yep. Gen 13. Gen 13 was actually a hugely popular version of this, where it was a superhero team, but like the main character's clothes are always shredded and or torn. This started as Wildstorm, this started as Wildstorm and then was bought by DC Comics. But it was like, I mean, the names on this, Jim Lee, Brandon Choi, J. Scott Campbell, Alex Gartner, like they're really popular. But yeah, like the guys never wear shirts. The women are always getting their clothes torn off. Like you can see their butt. Like,
Are they getting torn off
You
in
don't-
battle? Is there like
You're not seeing her ass.
Yeah.
That's a thong.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. The Darkness, which Witchblade also falls into this.
yeah, there was a moment in our graphic novel from Wynonna Earp where she pulls out a sword that looks disturbingly like the Witchblade.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Danger Girl,
No explanation.
which is
Yeah,
like
no explanation for it whatsoever.
which was the hugely popular like spy comic book. Again, J. Scott Campbell, but that's his style.
Yeah,
that-
that's more pinup.
That almost looks classy. Like,
Yeah.
That's,
yeah, you're
not-
getting
yeah.
And then my number one would be Joseph Michael Lisner's Dawn, which Dawn wears very few clothes, but it's also like, again, a fight between heaven and hell. And
yeah, this fight between heaven and hell is all going to be about, human attraction and,
right.
well, I mean, she's generally fully clothed,
Yeah.
it's just accenting parts of her body. But
yeah, we didn't need to see her nipples if she's an angel.
well, yeah. But yeah, that's my
Would an angel have nipples?
I mean, they don't have belly.
I was gonna ask,
They
but I
don't
was like,
need
I don't
nipples.
want to be. Yeah.
They don't. Well, theoretically, they don't have any
No.
genitalia, so
Yeah.
there'd be no reason for them to have nipples.
Yeah, that's
So-
Actually,
and-
there'd be no reason for them to have breasts.
And
but-
further down the list, amusingly, I know I had a hardcover that I picked up in the dollar section of Rob's store at one point of Grimm's Fairy Tales, which is
I read a ton of
series
I read
of like thirst
yeah.
comics, basically.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it, and then I realized I live in a house that 2 teenagers frequent, so that comic's gone.
It's Grimm's Fairy Tales was in another category almost.
I
by
think you
itself.
took it to that price book.
I don't know. I took very few comics. Anyway,
I've discovered recently that half-price bookstores would be a decent place to go pick up graphic novels.
yes, it is.
Mhm.
I just recently acquired The Death of Superman and The Reign of the Supermen, like all of the comics with all of the, the Kryptonian, Steel, Superboy, Cyborg, all those ones.
Were there multiple copies on it?
No, actually.
Joking.
Coming soon to Rec Conversations, by the way.
Yeah. Sorry, I actually missed that. I was in the middle of recovering from my second COVID vaccine. Otherwise, I'd have been here for that one.
That's all right. We got you and your brother for World War Hulk
Coming up.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
when we record.
recording tomorrow. Yeah.
All right. So I guess more on this. That's what I'm contributing. Is I'm willing to put myself on the altar and say I understand at least some of this, but in order for me to be 41 years old and reading this, it's got to have some plot. And this was...
what's your top pick for like most like best plot out of the ones?
Dawn.
Dawn.
Joseph Michael Lister's Dawn is a story about a woman who is not an angel and not a demon. She's like the person that communicates between. And
like a badass mediator between.
Yes, God and Satan used to be lovers. They had a lover's spat, and that's what caused the fall. And so years and years later, basically God summons Dawn to say, I gave Lucifer that halo. You need to go and get it back. And like the whole thing is her trying to, and then there's a lot of like different symbolism, and the world has kind of gone to hell. And,
thanks, I hate it.
Yeah, well, I love it. I think it's a great story, and it was a like huge it kind of founded my, if you're going to do something with heaven and hell and dogma, it better be interesting. And the rules better line up, and that it really does.
But anyways, back to the topic at hand, which is Wynonna Earp. I honestly, the series wasn't terrible. I'm actually kind of looking forward to watching season 2 because it really started to pick up at the end.
I agree. I'm going to miss Bobo though, because man, they got a great actor to play Bobo.
Bobo's great. Yeah,
well,
I like
hair.
He's also pretty hot.
I kind of want to grow that hair. That hair. I could do that.
Badass hair. Yeah.
That mohawk.
I agree with you on how it started to pick up. In fact, I found myself going, oh my God, I don't know if I want to watch it anymore. Like I've started to hit that, okay, this has kind of run its course. And then they introduced the sister back, which was great. It's a great, and then they end it, with basically seeing a Cthulhu beast.
Yeah.
And
which is why I was like, hey, it started to pick up. Things got interesting. We introduced Cthulhu.
Right. And the sister who you've just found out is not actually an Earp. Like, looking forward to that plot, looking forward to her being possessed by evil, old gods. Like, I'm ready for it. I'm looking forward to it now. But that the episode basically leading up to Willa coming back. So like the whole episode, I'm like, this is dragging a little bit. I mean, each episode is kind of starting to gain momentum, and that one, like, all the momentum just kind of dims until the end when you find out it's Willa.
Yeah.
And I mean, in retrospect, I really like that, but it could have run into the problem of that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did, where people aren't willing to invest in an entire first season. And
yes, but that was also, we were still working in the days of like 24, 25 episode series.
Right. Well, and that's what I was saying is this was 13 because it was a sci-fi 13. I think this could have done really well to be a Netflix 10. 10 1-hour episodes. I think you can cut some of the Doc Holliday, Winona romance stuff down. Not
honestly,
out, but
that
down.
Was probably the most interesting part. Like, for a while there, like that was like, starting to become an actual, like, kind of like adult, messed up adult relationship, but still an adult relationship.
Let's just point out that every relationship in this series is a messed up adult relationship, except for the lesbian relationship.
Yeah.
Which is the most wholesome, wonderful
That's one of
thing that they introduced in this entire...
Wait, I agree, but fuck Officer Hot.
Yeah.
It's a little on the nose. It's a little on the nose.
Yeah.
And she's a redhead.
And she is smoking
She's
hot.
feisty, fiery. Yep.
Yeah. And has the best lines towards the end of the series.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Or towards the end of the first season.
But I really, the last couple of episodes, I really liked how they kind of turned it on its head, where the big bad, Bobo Del Rey, of the entire first season actually becomes a sympathetic character at the end.
Yeah.
And then Willa becomes the big bad. I really liked how they did that, because from the moment she found out that she was Willa, I hated her.
Well, and she had, that actress was very good at taking lines that were given to her and just putting in the right amount of inflection and facial expressions that you're like, okay, she was saying the right thing, but
her face said no.
Yeah.
I don't like how she said it.
Yeah.
And in fact, I went and kind of paid more attention. And when she's saying that, a lot of the times she's not looking at the other character.
Yeah.
So she's saying it, but you, the audience member, get her real intentions.
Honestly, I think that's an actress who has had experience with
Stockholm
those. Yeah,
syndrome.
well, no, like not even that. It's a character that's had people that have narcissistic tendencies in their life and has had experience with that, because that's exactly what she was doing.
Yeah.
She was saying all the right words to convince everyone that she was absolutely the best, and I'm so sorry that and trying to calm people down after she'd done something horrible, and trying to gaslighting, misdirecting rage away from her. Like, I actually really started to get into that character, and I was just like, and there was that part of me that just kept going, oh yeah, she's awesome, this is going to be no, she's the bad guy. No, it's cool. No, she's the bad guy. Like the back of my head just kept going boom. Like, but yeah, no, you're right, brain, shut up.
Yeah, I would definitely put her up there with, like, not quite Jane from Doom Patrol level, who just everything she does with her inflection, her body, like the control that she has over every aspect of her acting is fantastic. But like, of the stuff that we reviewed, that actress, I loved it. Like, Jenn was like, oh, I hate her. Like, and I'm like, well, you're supposed to, but that is the actress doing an amazing job. We're seeing the same thing.
We didn't know we were supposed to until the end. Right. And I'm just like, I do not like her. She is not good. She's not good.
I think we're seeing a similar thing with the actor that's playing John Walker in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right?
Yes.
Yes. Doing a great job.
And which is why he's getting hate mail from...
Yeah, I read about that. I was super disappointed in the community to hear about that. But
I mean, not to go further into that, because that's a future episode, B, spoilers. I mean, this will release a while from now, but still spoilers. But I mean, again, to have an actor saying the right thing but doing them in the wrong way is very, very next level. Like, you can have very wooden performances. And not to say that the other actors in this have wooden performances, but there are definitely really good actors and okay actors in this show. Dolls, I have not gotten anything that I'm like, hey, you're the best actor in the world. But
I feel like the more you get to know that character, you better understand why he seems so stoic and so wooden. I mean, I think that there's a reason behind that. And again, towards the end of the season, I think everyone started to kind of hit their stride with their characters and better understanding motivations and what have you. I mean, I think that the first few episodes, there really was very, very little decent acting.
I guess I would say the one that you see the most progression, because I after you asked a couple questions this morning about, what happened in the earlier episodes, because we've taken a while to get through this first season. Waverly, the actress of Waverly, considering that she did all of this filming in like 2-3 months, all of these episodes, and to go from where she is in episode 1 to where she is in episode 13, that takes a really good actress. Yeah. Because again, you have to play an unlikable kind of like, this is a one-trick pony character, and then you have to develop. Yeah. Winona doesn't actually get that progression. Winona's pretty much...
She does.
Winona's pretty much Winona.
She does.
Winona's developing from loose cannon into, like, professional hunter.
Yes.
Right. Well, she's also developing from, and I may or may not understand this from personal experience, she's developing from what everyone says she is into who she actually is.
Okay.
She's going from everyone says that she's the black sheep, that she's no good, she does everything she does is damaging.
She's a slut.
She's damaging. She's a drunk. She's damaging to everyone around her,
etc.
Yeah, exactly. But she's able to create her own agency.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can see that. I think it comes down to what Justin said earlier. There's just so many good characters in this and so much good character development that it's almost as if the main character's development is overshadowed by Bobo's story and, Willa's story and even Officer Hot's story. Right?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm more interested in Officer Hot's story than I am in a lot like Dolls. Dolls.
Yeah. I mean, Dolls had some stuff, like especially him in the agency, but at the end of it, I'm like, why are you still at the fucking agency?
Right. Well, that's a good question.
Right.
And it leads back to a lot of clues that were left out there. But one of the things that I really liked about the series is even the baddies that seem to be unstoppable. Like they all have an Achilles heel, and even the scariest ones, you know, they're able to work through it, and Winona finds that Achilles heel. And one of the characters,
everybody's scared of the rumor requirement dummy.
one of the characters that I thought was really great and actually was a good like character development for Winona was Constance Clutie, the Stone Witch.
The Stone Witch, yeah.
You know, because it was like, how the hell are you going to stop it? I mean, Waverly had an excellent scene with her, and then the final scene where you see her in the TV show, that Constance Clutie, that's a great, like, Winona had, like, she's actually thinking. She's got some intelligence and thinking about how to deal with it.
And by the end of the first season, because she's gone from episode 8 is when they bury her. Technically still alive. And like as soon as they're walking away, you're like, okay, she gone. Like but they bring her back into Willa's story so that you have the seeds of why, other than getting her boys, like why was she invested in that? Why was she doing that? Yeah. Almost to the point where eventually you know they're gonna have to go back for answers.
Right. Or
also the idea of burying a witch up to their neck in a sand flat. There was some salt flat. That's some supernatural level shit. And I'm here for it.
That was super entertaining. What was I saying? The other thing I was thinking of is I think we're also seeing a development of the writers for the show, because the whole thing, dialogue in the beginning, you know, staging, stuff like that, super awkward. And as we get further into the show, things are starting to flow better. You know, conversations becoming what seemingly more natural for actual people to have in conversation. Personalities become less grating overall. I think it's getting a lot better. I'm actually looking forward to season 2.
Yeah, me too. Did anyone? I didn't look at on me, but was there a change in showrunner for the TV series?
That's a good question.
I felt like there was a really distinct
there was a hard line. Like it started to change a little bit, but it kind of seemed like there was a hard line probably around like episode 5 or 6.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too.
I don't know. I'm still on Clancy Brown, who by the way has 298 acting credits.
Yes.
Wow. What was that movie we were supposed to see?
Hell something.
Yeah, I'll look that up later. Right now, I gotta go back.
I want people to know, like, say it out loud for them.
I'll check. I'll see if I can find it.
So let's see. Wynonna Earp.
Well, writer at the top. Very good.
Multiple credits for writer or no?
Full casting credits.
As we scan the D.
49 episodes were done by Emily Andrus. So yeah, she is the showrunner.
Okay.
Bo Smith also is another writer.
Okay.
Executive story editor. Yeah. So no,
they just got better. That's nice.
Yeah.
They improved.
Yeah.
I like it.
So the person that made this comic book is actually also writing the show. Although maybe that's progression of almost 15 years, more than 15 years of working with within whatever it, because
and also realizing maybe that's what it was too. Maybe it was the starting with, we're gonna have a lot of starting with stuff that's from the comic book and then going
because the show is
actual TV.
The show is almost unrecognizable.
Yeah, if you're comparing it to the original stuff, it's very different.
Well, I mean, those first, the first 10 pages or something like that were the completely different art style. It was like something out of
it looked like something that a high schooler had drawn on their notebook.
It looked like something out of the front end.
I almost wonder if they redid the cover for Strange Inheritance, because it is deceptive. And when I went back to look at what they've got for it now, the artwork on the cover is deceptive as to what you get inside the product.
Those first like 12 pages are completely different art style, and it reminded me a lot of exactly. The comic sections, the art that you saw in like the old school Werewolf the Apocalypse.
Yes. It does.
That's what it reminded me of. And when I saw this, like when I opened up and I started flipping through this, I'm like, this looks cool. I can deal with this kind of artwork.
And then you get to,
and then I hit page 12, and suddenly I just hate my life.
Well, I read it electronically, and it's black and white, and it's impossible to tell what this sort of Spawn artwork is so hard to see. Black and white. Like, you're like, where does one thing end?
Where does one boob end and another claw begin?
Like, guys, It's like there are 5 bad guys in a scene, and you can't.
Yeah, like that,
right.
Yeah, like you can't see what is my main problem with the.
I think we
the
had that
comic.
same problem in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles too,
Yeah.
because everything was black and white.
Yeah. One of the main problems I had with the comic was why's it got to be about vampires and werewolves? This is not Wynonna Earp.
If the 90s didn't come to Canada until 2
Right. Right.
Well, and yeah, I'm like, okay, and so there is nothing about her, the way she fights, the weapons she uses. There is nothing.
Wyatt Earp's pistol never comes into play.
Aside from the fact that she's a U.S. Marshal.
Well,
that's the only thing.
In the beginning, they hand her Wyatt Earp's badge. I thought in those first 12 pages.
10 pages.
Oh, he told me
pages.
to skip it, so I didn't read that.
Oh, you should have read that. That was probably the best part of the whole thing.
Probably because what I read, I didn't care for.
Yeah, no, the rest of it's kind of junk.
No, it's just a Marshall badge. It's not Wyatt Earp.
Right. So in the comic, if this is the introduction to the arc of Wynonna Earp, there's like her name could be Barbara Killing.
Right.
And it would be.
Yeah, and it would be. But
this could be Barb Wire's backstory.
Yeah. So yeah, they could call her Bass or Barbie.
They could call her anything. Yeah,
and it
wouldn't have made a
wouldn't be.
difference.
Yeah, it would be the same story. I'm Barbie Killingham, U.S. Marshal.
The luscious legs of the law.
Yeah.
That's why, I think it would be kind of interesting if you guys read the 2016 arc, the Homecoming.
Is it similar to the show?
Yeah. Both I think you'll like the two main reasons I would be interested in your take on it is I think you will like the plot better. There isn't a, vampire werewolf type stuff going on. And the other interesting thing is I like the artwork, but I looked up some reviews on Homecoming. I was curious what other people thought, and a lot of people complained about that arc's artwork as well, even though it is significantly different in my opinion. So I was kind of curious, like they didn't like this art style, which I did, and I want to see what you guys kind of think of it. It's just 6 issues.
Did they say what they didn't like about the artwork?
No,
they
weren't.
Say they didn't like it.
They weren't super specific. They were, I looked on,
Okay.
I don't know, Goodreads or something, and they're like, I didn't care for the artwork style. They thought it was, I guess, rather simplistic, and I thought it was fine. Particularly if you compare it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm bringing it up right now.
Josh was flipping through a few panels from
Homecoming.
Homecoming, and I like this artwork so much better.
I do
Yes,
too.
I love
It's
that.
almost like Jessica Jones
Yes, he does.
with like leather Texas fringes
Right?
on the coat.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's
no,
why I
this
like it. It's because, we basically have another Jessica Jones kicking ass and
Right.
taking names.
Yeah. But the story in the TV series made so much more sense for it to be a Winona vehicle. And it just the story that it laid out is I think that for what we consider trash TV, I think it's really good.
Yeah.
I really like the show. Yeah.
I think by the end of it, it does really draw you in.
Right.
Like if you give it the 13 episodes, like if you just start it, like this would be one of those shows.
That's hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like,
this would be one of those shows, though, that like you're doing chores around the house, whatever. You turn on the first episode, but by the 10th, you're actually sitting down.
Yeah, no, that was 100% me, because I was like watching, and I'm just like, okay, I want Netflix to register that I have watched all this garbage, and I went to go do dishes, and I'm standing there doing dishes, and I'm just like, sounds like something interesting might be going on. Finish up whatever I'm watching, go back and rewind it, like 5 minutes, and watch again, and then I'd watch for 20 minutes,
Right.
Well, but I don't think it's as difficult now. Like, I understand what you mean about, like, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that being difficult for people to go, because there are a lot of episodes.
Well, it was 13 episodes before the Winter Soldier.
Josh and I had that conversation, like, when those came out, because he was watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I was watching Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh goes, and I told him I had watched, like, 4 or 5 episodes, and I was just like, no, I'm done. It's not holding my interest. And he goes, give it 12. And I looked at him, I'm like, 12?
So I had to give him a season of Gotham.
No, I told you 7 episodes.
It's true.
I said, give me 7 episodes of Gotham, because you only got like 3 in.
The fucking
Robin, give me 15.
Right? And I told you,
Rico's Roughnecks.
give me 7 episodes of Gotham, and then you watch those 7 episodes of Gotham, and you've watched more of it now than I have.
Yeah, I
But
still
I
haven't watched
think-
the last season.
But I think that this show is not as challenging as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
No.
I mean, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's not just putting it on and having it in the background. It's if you're not paying attention.
There's a lot of stuff
There's
going
a
on.
lot of
There's a lot of
stuff going on.
characters.
Right.
doing things.
You're going to miss stuff, and it's not going to make
Yeah.
sense later on.
Yeah.
And if you get into it, you're going to miss some sweet Fitzsimmons.
Right.
Right?
And you're going to have to go back
That's right.
Right.
and get all the Fitzsimmons you could possibly
That's-
cram into
you're-
your brain.
Honestly, you're there for the Fitzsimmons.
That's
But
right.
yes. Although I am there for the Ward because God loves that baddie. That's a good guy.
Well, and again, why it's frustrating the first 12 episodes
Yeah.
because he's the straight laced.
Yeah.
I'm the Captain America agent.
Right.
Mm.
But Wynonna Earp, I feel like they've done such a beautiful job. It's very simple.
Mm.
You know, once all the initial characters are kind of set in what they're doing and they start working together, I really think that they did a good job of saying, okay, this family is cursed. This town is cursed. There's history. If you don't know it, you're doomed. And guess what? You just happen to have a character who was a barmaid that nobody really cared about and everyone was just like, pat, 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 who knows all of it.
Yeah.
Who, like, that's her passion. That's what she does. It's honestly like,
I wrote my character. What do?
Yeah.
I'm the little sister.
Yeah, all of my dots are in,
It's
bartending stuff,
it's Buffy.
right?
Yeah.
It's the Scooby Gang from Buffy.
She's Xander
No, she's Willow.
Yeah. Without becoming a witch.
without.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, she becomes we'll see. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I see. I put her more along the lines of Xander, a female version of Xander, because she's just kind of there, and then you get a little bit further in, and
That's true.
Xander fucking knows everything because he's been around all these fucking people for
Right.
so long.
And stops running and hiding and
Yeah.
starts standing up to
Yeah.
things. Yeah, that's true. That's very
A less problematic Xander,
yes.
Yes,
True.
that's true too. Yep.
which is fine.
Because
It shows a less
because-
problematic Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
because if it's a less problematic Xander, it's because she's female.
No, I mean, it doesn't have to be,
Yeah.
but yes. All right, so let's go with, I think we all kind of have put we keep reading this particular comic, but Justin, you have read or watched more of the show.
I've watched,
Season.
I've watched 3 seasons. I do think you guys will all probably, from what it sounds like, you're looking forward to more of it. And I can tell you, I think your anticipation is going to pay off, and
Awesome.
the stakes are a little bit higher. That they kind of fluctuate a little bit, to be fair. But I think your anticipation will pay off. I think you'll really enjoy the next couple of seasons.
Well, that's the supernatural problem, right?
Yeah.
The further you
Yeah.
go,
I think
the higher the stakes
Yeah.
have to be.
Like
And I
leverage.
Yeah.
I think that's what I mentioned. I had mentioned to you probably last year, or maybe the year
Yeah.
before, because I'm like 2 or 3 seasons behind on Supernatural, even though it's one of my favorites. And that is the reason, is because the stakes are so incredibly different from where they were so many years ago, seasons
Right.
1 and 2. And I just got I'd appreciate something a little more related. And that's,
Yeah.
I still want to finish the series. I love it to death, but that's why I haven't done it, is because I just can't force myself to sit there with the stakes that they have.
Well, and even without spoilers, you can see from season 12, like, where the last season has to go.
Yeah.
Like, what the stakes have to be, and what everything is going to culminate in. And I think it did a very good job for those stakes, but you're absolutely right. There's a certain point where you're like, well, what the fuck? Why? Why do I now care? Because this is so far beyond in any way relating to me. And that by that point, you've also had the main characters die several times.
Yes.
And nothing is lasting. And I agree with you. There are, it's why I would recommend, like I said, dumb little shows like this. Like, I don't mean to put it that way, or
You're
like,
not
I know what
demeaning the
you mean,
writers or
though.
The actors,
Yeah.
but,
right.
yeah.
I'm saying this is not, going to be up for any major awards. This is
Right.
like, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to have some real fun. I'm playing Crackdown 3 right now as my video game, because I just finished Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and it's fucking 2 billion endings. And I needed something to just turn my brain off. And I'm like, oh, look, it's a shoot 'em up with Terry Crews as the voice.
So you're saying Lord of the Rings had fewer endings than Valhalla?
Yes.
I'm like
Oh my
110
God,
hours into that. I don't know where I am in the story, but it's not finished yet.
I don't even know where I'm at in this story.
Yeah,
I think I was at 210 hours by the time
210. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, you're gonna get your money's worth on Valhalla.
All right,
I'll
all
say
right.
that. I mean, because it's a good story. It's
Right,
just a long
right.
story. And so I went over to my Xbox One and I'm like, all right, go through Game Pass. What do you got? Crackdown. Oh yeah, was that the game that Terry Crews is the voice for? And I start it and it's like we're gonna fuck on some aliens. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm in.
I'm here. Let's go.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, all sorts of media. Comic books, TV. There's nothing wrong with just doing something that's just fun. Turn off your brain. I'm gonna turn this on while I'm on my phone.
There's redeeming stuff even in the most turn off your brain stuff.
Like I can't go back to like Knight Rider. I mean,
right.
There's a reason.
Oh my God.
I can if you mute it and you literally just have it on. No, I don't.
You mean Professor Feeney?
I don't.
I don't know.
That was the same actor was in Boy Meets World. He was the neighbor and the principal.
You're such a
teacher.
12-year-old girl.
Yeah, never watched Boy Meets World.
Yeah,
nor have I.
But anyway,
moving on from Boy Meets World.
the point is that there's a certain level of.
Do you want to tell us about your Dawson's Creek fetish?
I do love Dawson's Creek.
Can we do that on a different episode?
Okay.
Tasty for life. Joshua Jackson's National Treasure. Okay, so looking at the idea of to finish out with the idea of trash TV and because this really is this is gonna be just fun. It's still the golden age of television though. Like it really is. Like you have so many choices for what to watch right now that like a Knight Rider or something that's like even going back, I love it, but the old Hulk. Like can you imagine something
Bill Bixby
plots that were the old Hulk
I
trying to fly now?
I will bring up things about old Hulk when we do the Planet Hulk episode on Ret Conversations. Stay tuned.
Oh, when we go to Planet Hulk, not World War Hulk.
Oh, sorry, World War Hulk. I apologize.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, like this, we watched the Wonder Woman, show for the Wonder Woman episode. Like for their time, those were seen as the this is high plot, high drama. Like now,
that's the thing.
You can't. You have to have something like Wynonna Earp wouldn't have lasted more than a season if you didn't get invested in those people. It would just be another sci-fi show that showed up and fizzled.
Well, but you've also got to consider in the 70s when those shows were on network TV, you didn't have DVDs or VHS.
Right.
You watched it live.
Right.
You didn't watch it.
And
there was no way to catch
right.
it.
And for the love of God, you had a black main character or supporting character.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I understand, but I guess I'm just saying that even the worst shows that we're watching are pretty impressive.
Yeah, by comparison, if we go back to...
Well, they have to be, and that's my point, is they are competing
with 100 other things at the same time.
Competing in an arena of so much choice. I mean, there's like a fire hose of choice for every person trying to decide what they want to watch.
So, and I just thought of this, and I want your take, Jen. This show got season 4 at the expense of Happy and Deadly Class. So...
It doesn't surprise me.
Okay.
Because, Deadly Class, whatever. Happy. That show is fucking brilliant. But I get it. The vast majority of viewers are not going to be interested in weird, somewhat...
It's more niche, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially where they went season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's not for everyone. And you know what? I'm just going to go with, I am pleased that it got 2 seasons.
Okay.
I mean, it's the same thing with all the Marvel Defenders series on Netflix.
Yeah.
Legion, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, all of those. Like, these were very, very deep, very dark, very
Daredevil's
cerebral.
the only show I've been able to get my partner to watch with me. She actually loves Daredevil and she doesn't like superhero stuff. But it was so good that she got into it.
Yeah, I mean, you're still dealing with, when you take the broader audience base, you're still dealing with, we've got boomers out there whose whole goal when they were in their 20s and 30s was try and get the closest to vanilla as possible. That's why domestic beer all tastes the same. That's why, domestic cigarettes all taste the same. It's, there's all these
gun smokes don't taste like.
Yeah, that's true. But it's the reason why, you're trying to appeal to the largest possible audience. So we're going to just take small steps, baby steps. And that's why shows like Wynonna Earp get 4 seasons, and, shows like The Punisher.
Right. You have to be smart, but not too clever.
You can't go over the general populace's head.
Right. I mean, there are some shows that do that and they are successful, but they are few and far between, and they have to find their audience. And generally they're on major networks like Frasier. I don't know.
You don't have to tell me about Frasier.
I know.
I've watched that series probably like 10
and it's
times
coming
through.
back.
Yes, it was super highbrow. It was super hilarious. I loved it because I still know to this day, as many times as I've watched that series, that there are jokes in there I still don't get.
Yeah.
And that entertains me as much as the stuff that I do get.
I've watched, and I mean, I wouldn't call this by any means like the highbrow level of Frasier, but I've been watching a lot of MST3K, and I've been watching Mystery Science Theater since I was 13. There are jokes I get now because I'm 41,
right?
That when I was 13, I was like, what is that? No idea who that person is. No idea who that, because they do a lot of classic Hollywood jokes.
Yeah.
They do a lot of 70s jokes.
Yeah.
There's stuff sprinkled through that I know Joel isn't that old. But they go back and it shows that they have such an understanding of the entertainment industry in general and classic movies and everything else, that they've got something in there for everyone.
Well, and it's not, okay, so this goes back to not having access to recorded media. In the 70s, whenever, in the summers, I would go to visit my dad and we would spend a week or two at my grandmother's house. And in Florida, there was a TV station, Channel 44, and it was all classic movies. So it was those old black and white musicals, movies, whatever. And so that's what I would watch. I would be watching 8 hours, God forbid, but it was too hot to go outside unless I was in the pool. So I watched all of these movies, and those movies were older than me by 20, 30, 40 years.
Generation or two. Yeah.
So I had knowledge of that, not because I wasn't into it and I sought it out, because it was there in front of me. And I think that there are a lot of people.
That's all you have.
Right. And it was,
It's I can tell you way too much about the Three Stooges.
Oh, yeah.
See, I'm the same both with Marx Brothers, but my dad, at some point, the video store that was closest to our house had 2 tapes of Beanie and Cecil, which was this.
Don't even know who that is.
Oh my God. It was a cartoon.
Yeah.
From the late 50s into 60s. Lots of beatnik humor and weird things. It was a very weird cartoon, and it was not one that's you can't even, I've looked, you can't even really find other than a couple of YouTube clips. But this is one of the first things that my parents put together the 2 VCRs, rented it from the Mr. Movies and taped it for us. And so my siblings and I grew up on this late 60s, early 70s cartoon for kids, and we thought it was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But now when I talk to people, they're so it is one of those very rare things for me to bring up people are like, what? But if somebody goes, oh, Beanie and Cecil, dishonest John.
Well, that's a joke about
about a
song, song.
An actual song, yes.
So I did the same thing to my children. They grew up watching
Gumby.
And
yeah.
oh my God,
Gumby.
Holy shit.
Yep.
So you may have watched Gumby as a short between Bullwinkle and Rocky.
Right.
But these were full-on feature-length movies.
Yes, that were
2 of them.
creepy as shit.
Oh my God. They were I remember when I got them, watching them with the kids, and I was just what kind of acid dream is this?
Right?
And I'm I don't know, they kind of like it. It's fine, watch it. You're not scared, so okay, this is okay.
But that did some things to their brains, let me tell you.
Well, they're my kids. But the other thing, what's really funny is, so somebody gave me those 2 movies, and then along with a stack of kids shows that they would just put out a series of videotapes for Care Bears.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, all of those from the early 80s.
Yep.
I'm gonna tell you, Ashley loved Gumby for Flight of the Care Bears.
I mean, that tracks.
I mean, whole part was some scary shit, you know.
No, it was the
Care
like,
Bears
you know,
movie,
Oh,
she would be like,
awesome.
yeah, no, she.
Oh, do not go to Rainbow Bright then. Rainbow Bright was some creepy shit too.
Care Bears, Rainbow Bright, My Little Pony, Glowworms, My Pet Monster,
Wuzzles.
Wuzzles,
Snork.
Shirt Tails.
The tail.
God, I can't even remember all of them.
Snorks.
I didn't see Snork.
Snorks were basically underwater Smurfs.
Oh, wow. Not to mention the Smurfs, the Gummy Bears, the original Gummy Bears, not this new shit.
Yes.
I'm talking
new shit?
You know, the Gummy Bears.
Oh, the Swedish. Yeah. No.
No, I'm talking
Disney's
like
Gummy Bears.
Yeah, I'm talking like Gummy Bears bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Chippendale's Rescue
Yeah.
Rangers.
Oh, that was the best though. Chippendales was the best. I love it.
We watched
We're
an
getting the
episode
later
recently.
80s
Yeah.
stuff,
But yes. All right.
They don't age well.
No, they don't. Not
That's
at all.
probably true. I haven't seen that.
Unless it's the Gummy Bears. The Gummy Bears is still awesome.
So I think we kind of have gone to the point where we have explained why every once in a while we do need that, because I think these shows are probably the closest that we're going to get to like those very simplistic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
We just sat in front of the
Cartoons.
TV and
Yeah.
just stared at the TV.
And we watched whatever the fuck was on. I watched Elf Tales.
Oh,
I watched
God, I forgot.
I watched
How
Hammerman.
Oh,
MC Hammer
Oh,
had magic
stop it.
shoes.
Stop it.
No, you know what? You don't know suffering. I had to watch infomercials.
Yep, infomercial.
Because
Infomercials were great.
pre-cable, the network would go off air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was in the 80s. They finally stopped just having the color bars from midnight until 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. And they just put infomercials in from midnight to 4 a.m. And I can't tell you how many times in college we would come home drunk from the bar and watch infomercials, and then we stopped.
That doesn't sound like suffering to me.
We stopped when stuff started showing up.
Would you start ordering things?
Yeah.
I did not, but yes. Someone in our group started ordering things, and we're
Jerk off your ass like, oh, if you call this phone number, I can get
intervention.
Yes, I think we've now seen where our basis, where our core for this real easy watching pro stars that had Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, and Bo Jackson fighting crime came from.
No, that's
Oh, I didn't see that, but I don't even want to.
I watched the Bill Bixby Hulk and Love Boat and Fantasy Island, and I missed all of this bullshit you're talking about, and I'll take that crazy 70s series any day. Any day. I will watch Hervé Villechaize being bus to plane
Right?
over Gummy
Fantasy
Bears.
Island.
Sorry.
Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
The Love Boat.
And the crossovers where the Love Boat would bring people to fantasy.
Yeah.
Oh, God, which is just creepy.
Knots Landing.
Nope.
Yep. Dallas.
See, for me, all of that started with Moonlighting.
I was just going to say, that was the one I was
Oh my God. If you can watch the series Soap, do it. It's the best dramedy ever. I mean,
it's got Billy
it's
Crystal.
so good.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Justin, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you for having me.
Ramble.
Yes, well, I don't know. It was a good time. I think we got a lot of value out of this one. For the benefit of our listeners who might be also fans of Clancy Brown, the film I was referring to earlier is Hellbenders.
Okay.
Hellbenders.
Hellbenders.
So check it out. I expect, running commentary from you, good sir, as you're watching it.
It's got to be better than the last Airbender.
Oh, the live action.
Oh, no.
The live animated.
I saw that.
Gonna say,
I'm embarrassed to say I saw that in the theater, but
Were you
I did.
excited?
I'm sorry.
Kinda, I guess.
Before.
Yeah.
My brother, I still need to watch the actual cartoon.
It's so the cartoon is so great though.
That's what I keep hearing.
It is. And now of course I guess there's a new live action series in development or something like that. So
I'm scared, Dave.
Well, Justin, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, so excited to have you here once again, and so excited to be this close to the pandemic finally being over. All of us being vaccinated, so we can come out and we can see you.
It's going to be epic.
You can actually meet Jenn face to face.
Right. Well, I don't know over, but loosening its teeth.
Yeah.
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 We might be in a loosening phase for quite some time.
Yes,
I'm
I agree.
I mean, I'm got my vaccinations. I'm still wearing my mask. Please.
Yeah, same.
Well, and speaking of all that, we will have one of our first in the house recordings next week when Reed Wooldridge comes and we do League of Extraordinary.
I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited for that, guys.
Yeah, which means we need to watch some sweet, sweet Sean Connery soon.
Yes.
Look, I just want to say, even if you don't end up liking that movie, I'm not going to pretend like it's a good movie, okay? But I like that movie.
All right.
I'm not going to pretend like it's good, but I like it.
Hellbenders is
right.
on our list.
It's always okay to like something that's terrible.
Yes.
We all do it.
Yeah, it's 2021. I mean, you do you, and more power to you.
We have Discovery Plus for Jen's HGTV and my Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Yes.
So
I have my Hulu for my diners, drive-ins, and dives.
yes, this has every episode
I
ever.
understand, but I only need 5 seasons at a time. That's really, let's be fair. Like, I'm just gonna go blind with spiky platinum hair and sunglasses.
On that note, we will see you in 2 weeks for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and take it away, Vandello.
Come with me, I'll tell a story that you might have heard before. Graphically novel, but the same old trouble. Villains always knocking at the door. Pretty pictures on the page, but nothing ever stays the same. Do 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 do. Come at me, and I'll show you something you ain't never seen before. Right or wrong, or can't we all just get along? My mask is no different than yours. Pretty pictures on the screen, but nothing's ever as it seems. Do 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 do. Hero or villain, loved or hated by millions. Maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right, but you don't want to see my back.